Now we move on to the next speaker. We have Ms. Esther. I now request Esther to present on the topic Phytochemical and Proximate Analysis of Ocimum Herbal Tea. Over to you, Esther.
Good day, everyone. My name is Chimezie Esther Uchechukwu, PhD student of Texila University. I am here to present a paper on phytochemical and proximate analysis of Ocimum Herbal tea. Introduction. Herbal tea has been an age-long practice in the administration of herbal medicine. As we know, herbal medicine as old as mankind itself. So this practice has been long. So herbal tea has been an age-long practice in the administration of herbal medicine. Tea is one of the most widely consumed beverages in the world, next to water. And the consumption of herbal tea has recently increased, probably due to recognition of the fact that there are health benefits that are attached to it. Herbal tea is comprised of mono, di, or polyherbal mixtures of leaves, flowers, stems, or roots, brewed or infused into hot or cold water. The therapeutic activity of medicinal plants when consumed as tea, food, or tea is dependent on the chemical composition of such plant, part of the plant. Then Ocimum Herbal tea is a polyherbal tea that is formulated from indigenous medicinal plants that were reported to have various medicinal and pharmacological activities. Ocimum Herbal tea is a mixture of Ocimum gratissimum, Venelia amagnalita, and Dondronama latifolium. It is a novel product of Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency in Lagos, Nigeria. The three indigenous medicinal plants that are used in the formulation of this tea has a treated anti-hyperglycemic and antioxidant properties from the preliminary investigation done on it. Then we want to talk later about the medicinal plants that were used in the formulation of this tea. Venelia amagnalida from the family Asteraceae. It is a common shrub or tree that grows in tropical Africa and in Asia. Nutrients-wise, it is very, very rich. We are made to understand that it is exceptionally rich in carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, elements such as iron, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, folic acid, and ascorbic acid. Then the ethnomedical and the pharmacological properties of this tea include being anti-diabetic, antioxidative, anti-cancer, antimicrobial, anti-allergic, antibacterial, anti-malaria, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, anti-helmintic, antipyretic. It is an analgesic. It protects the liver, that is hepatoprotective, and it is also has hypolipidemic properties. The bioactive constituents of this tea has been studied by Allah et al. 2018, and it shows that it contains some phytochemicals like flavonoids, saponins, tannins, etc. Then we look at Dondronama latifolium, the second medicinal plant that is used in the formulation of this tea. It is found mainly in the tropics and the subtropical regions of Africa and Asia. It is a climber or a twining shrub. It is propagated mainly by stem potting or by the seeds. Then the ethnomedical and pharmacological properties of Dondronama latifolium include being diabetic, anti-cholesteremic. It is hyporipidemic, antioxidative, anti-cancer, antimicrobial, anti-malaria, is anti-asthmatic, can be used for cough, can be used for to prevent worm infestation. It is also hepatoprotective and can also be used in wound healing. The bioactive constituents of this Dondronama latifolium has also been studied and reported by Esther Uchechukwu 2014. Then the third one that is used is Ocimum gratissimum in the family of Lamiaceae. Though it is indigenous to India, it is grown all over the West African country now, including Nigeria. Traditionally, Ocimum gratissimum has been used for the treatment of headache, diarrhea, warts, worm, kidney infection, and diabetes mellitus. So one of the reasons we want to study the objective of this presentation is to evaluate the phytochemical and the proximate constituents of this Ocimum tea. So we move to the sample collection. Fresh samples of Grenonia and Magdalena and Ocimum gratissimum leaves were harvested from a farm in Lagos State, Nigeria. But the Grenonia latifolum leaves were purchased from Oyinbo markets, also in Lagos State, Nigeria. The leaves were identified by the taxonomists in the Bioresources Documentation and Conservation Department of Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency, Lagos. Voucher number were assigned to them, and the voucher specimen were kept in their herbarium. Then the fresh leaves were weighed, washed in running water, and dried using an electric air oven. Ocimum gratissimum was dried at 35 degrees centigrade because it has an essential oil, so it doesn't require higher temperature. While the Grenonia and Magdalena and Grenonia latifolum were dried at 45 degrees centigrade to preserve their bioconstituents as well. Then the dry leaves were pulverized and mixed according to ratio to make the herbal tea. Materials and methods. 100 grams of the blended dry polyherbal mixture was now weighed and put inside 5 liters boiled distilled water and stirred intermittently and allowed to blew and cool at room temperature. Then the mixture was kept in the refrigerator for 72 hours, after which it was removed, stirred gently and filtered. Then the filtrate was freeze-dried at -40 degrees centigrade to prevent the breakdown of active constituents while trying to concentrate the extract. Then the resulting extract was harvested and used for the analysis. The phytochemical and the proximate analysis that was used, we use the standard method to analyze these products. The standard method of Superiora, Excel, Advanced, and Urban, and other standard methods. So when we now look at the phytochemical analysis, it has 2 parts. It has the qualitative analysis and also the quantitative analysis. The qualitative analysis, the parameters that are listed are the ones that we analyze using all these standard approved methods. So we analyze for reducing sugar, the phenol. We analyze for reducing sugar using the Benedict test, the phenol, using the ferric chloride test, flavonoids, the tannin, the steroid, terpenoids, alkaloids, phyllobatabine, and cardiac glycosides and saponin. Then, having analyzed these parameters, we also try to look at the quantity, that is the quantitative analysis of all those parameters that were listed. So we look at the total phenolic contents, we look at, we analyze the quantity of total calorie method using the method of Chimezie Esther with little slight modification. Then also the total tannin content was also analyzed, saponin and flavonoid content. So we also look at the proximate composition of this tea by using the method of AOC 17th edition method. Is also a standard method. So the moisture content was determined by open air drying, fat content by sourceless fat extraction method, crude protein was determined using micro-Kagel method. Crude fiber was determined by hydrolysis, the ash content of it by morphophones. Then the carbohydrate was also determined by calculating the formula as we see on the screen. the carbohydrate, you minus the other things there, you now get the percentage of the carbohydrate that was in the tea. Then we also look at the physiochemical analysis, trying to look at the organoleptic properties of it. We discovered that when the tea was soaked in water, it turned out to be a brown liquid. When we tried to perceive the odor, it was slightly minty. Then we look at the specific gravity, pH, vitamin A and C using HPLC method. Then also look at some metals, the arsenic, cadmium, chromium, cobalt, copper, iron, lead, manganese, and some other metals as we see listed down there. So we also look at the Proximate Analyses. And these are the results we got. We discovered that it's high in carbohydrates. It has 71.06%. The protein has 10.58%. Fats 1.17%. Moisture content was 4.57. Ash content 2.89, and the crude fiber was 9.7. Then what is this result we got? Of course, is really to us. We have about 9 phytochemicals that are present in this herbal tea. So of course, is it to us? Then we are going to look at that when we try to discuss what we have gotten. So the phytochemicals we are made to understand are natural bioactive compounds that is contained in the body of the plant, such as the leaf, the flower, the stem, and the root. And each of these phytochemicals exhibits a definite physiological function to human body. They perform something like, if it's flavonoid, it has an action it carries out on human body. So these bioactive compounds, which are also known as secondary metabolites, include the flavonoids, the phenols, the tannins, the coumarins, the glycosides, the saponins, the terpenoids, alkaloids, steroids, and etc. Medicinal plants are always rich in these essential phytochemicals. It can either be primary or secondary metabolites, and they are responsible for their therapeutic, pharmacological, or medicinal values. So they are responsible for the antioxidative actions, anti-inflammatory actions, anti-diabetic actions, and antimicrobial actions, and other non-biochemical activities that happens in the body. These phytochemicals are responsible for it. So going back to the results we have earlier, what I showed earlier, we can see that Ocimum Herbal tea contains flavonoids, contains phenols, contains tannin, contains reducing sugar, contains cardiac glycosides, contains saponin, contains steroids, terpenoids at various levels and concentrations. It contains them at various level and concentration. Then what does it mean? It then means that this phytochemical signifies that this tea is rich in medicinal values. And this also agrees with the work done by Uwala et al. 2016 on a product called Dicure. It is a polyherbal anti-diabetic product. From the work they did, they discovered that the Dicure polyherbal anti-diabetic tea contains positive presence of alkaloids, flavonoids, steroids, tannins, saponins, and phenolic compounds. And these phytochemicals are the ones that gave those anti-diabetic properties to these products. This also agrees with the work done by Mosi et al. On Terminalia tea, Terminalia pulmonodis pulse herbal tea. They reported that this tea have a high phenolic content, which is responsible for its antioxidant property. It is the phenols that are contained in this tea is responsible for its antioxidant properties, What does antioxidant do? It salvages reactive chemical species, such as reactive oxygen species, that normally cause most of oxidative diseases like diabetes, stroke, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and other diseases like that. So, with the high content of this antioxidant, this phenol in the tea, it can now be able to act as antioxidants to this effect. We also discovered that these phenolic compounds are largely distributed in the plant kingdom, and they give plant their unique taste, flavor, and additional health benefits. So also the flavonoids, another phytochemical that are contained in this Ocimum Herbal tea. We are made to understand that flavonoids are the major antioxidants that are normally found in teas, and they are responsible for their distinctive taste, their color, and the aroma, and the other benefit that are associated to these teas can be done by these flavonoids. Then also we look at the moisture content. We discovered that the moisture content of Ocimum Herbal tea was 4.5%, 4.57%, which also agree with the official guideline of herbal medicine. We use a British Pharmacopoeia. So this is comparable with the work done by Obo et al. On moringa tea and lemon tea that contain 4.42% of moisture. What's the essence of maintaining a very low moisture or this kind of level of moisture when you're preparing a tea? We are made to understand that moisture should be maintained within the range of 2.5 and 6.5% to prevent microbial decomposition. Because if the moisture content is high, it can easily be attacked by microorganisms. Then it's also helped to store for long storage of the tea. It can also provide better stability. Then in this study also, we also discovered that the ash contents of the tea falls within the level of recommended by official guideline, between 4 to 8%. Then ash content tells us about the total mineral content that is contained in the food or in the tea after you have removed the impurities. Then we now want to look at the carbohydrates and the protein aspect of this tea. We discovered that it contains 71.06% of carbohydrates and 10.58% of protein. What does this mean? It means that this OHT can serve as a good source of carbohydrates. It can also serve as a good source of protein because we are made to understand that it has a high protein content. It's rich in protein, and this is comparable with moringa leaf tea that was done by Obo et al. That moringa leaf tea contains 11.24% of protein. We know much about moringa tea, that it is a very good tea. So then this means that OHT could also be used as a good source of protein. Protein helps our body to grow, help our body to develop, and it helps the enzyme and the hormones in our body to function properly. So it can serve as a good source of protein. Then the fruit fiber that is contained in the tea is also 9.74%. That means that it can serve as a good source of fiber, fruit fiber as well. Then it is also compared to moringa leaf tea that contain 7.06% and salmonella tea that contains 7.59% of fruit fiber. So Ocimum Herbal tea can also serve as a good source of fiber. Then it's low in fat. The fat content of it is 1.17%. And this is also compared to moringa leaf tea that contains 1.22% of good fat. So you can see that it doesn't contain high fats. Then we now look at the elemental analysis of this tea. From the work done it shows that it contains all the mineral elements that are listed in the results. It contains calcium, magnesium, manganese, potassium, zinc, copper, cobalt, and other ones that are listed in the result. They're within the permissible limits, within the permissible medicinal limits. It is within the permissible limits. So it is a good source of minerals and vitamins as well. So from the study, it showed that it contains higher levels of essential dietary elements such as calcium. We know the importance of calcium in our system or in our body, iron and magnesium. All these mineral elements or minerals are important in maintenance of good health. Therefore, making Ocimum Herbal Tea a great source of these nutrients. Ocimum Herbal Tea does not contain any herbal method from the heavy metals from the result we got. You know, the heavy metals like lead, mercury, chromium, and cadmium are injurious to health. But we discovered that this tea does not contain any of those heavy metals. So this is in contrast to the work done by Chimezie Esther on Terminalia this hot herbal tea. We discovered that this tea contains some heavy metal that make it to be toxic to health. It contains some heavy metals like chromium, copper, and cobalt when compared to Camellia sinensis tea. What must be the reason for the contamination of why the heavy metals we are finding in this other tea? It might be because of the place they collected the raw materials before processing it. So the contamination might be attributed to the area of collection before the tea was processed. Then, conclusion. Evaluation of phytochemical, proximate analysis, and elemental analysis of Ocimum Herbal Tea. It shows that they are rich in these phytochemical constituents. It has high composition of proximate components. It also has essential minerals that can be used to improve health and general well-being. Then these bioactive constituents, that is the secondary metabolites, like we said before, they are the things that confer the therapeutic activity or their pharmacological activities to the plant. So because of this, it can be used in the treatment of diseases, or as well, it can also be used as a basic raw material to develop or to produce synthetic drugs. So this study has shown us that Ocimum Herbal Tea contains various phytochemicals which could be beneficial to health, thereby forming a good source of synthesizing a novel drug molecules. Then, however, further work needs to be done to identify, isolate, and characterize these phytochemicals in relation to a particular disease state they are to treat. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Esther, for the wonderful presentation. Now we move on to the Q&A. Dr. Esther, we have a question in the chat. I will read it for you. Did OHT contain any amount of caffeine?
No. You know, herbal tea is different from ordinary tea that is being produced from Camellia sinensis. It's different from the tea that is produced from tea plants. So, but this one is produced from, like Ocimum Herbal Tea was produced from the leaves we consume as food. The Venonenia and Magdalena, we use it in cooking food. Ocimum gratissimum, we use it in cooking food. And Progronemal latifolium, we also use it in cooking food. So it is a food-based product. It does not contain caffeine.
So another question is there. Did you screen for caffeine?
You know, I just did the phytochemical, but from what we did so far, though I have not screened for caffeine, but from what we did so far, like I said, that this is a food medicinal plant. It is not gotten from tea plant, because if it is Camellia sinensis, it is Chimezie sinensis contain some level of caffeine because it is a tea on its own. That is, it is not a herbal tea per se. But when we talk of herbal tea, like I said, when I was trying to describe it, it is different from ordinary tea we consume. Herbal teas are gotten from the medicinal plants that are used for either food or medicinal purposes as well.
Okay, one last question we will take. If it can reduce sugar level, people on anti-diabetics need to know about it.
Okay, because I'm just presenting on the phytochemicals, evaluation of the phytochemicals that are contained in the tea, I cannot tell you authoritatively now that it can reduce sugar level. I cannot make that claim now, but from the work I have done so far and from the literature review we have done, it shows that it can reduce sugar because it has an anti-diabetic or anti-hyperglycemic properties. So it can, depending on that, the diabetes can use it, because if you look at the medicinal and the pharmacological properties I presented, I said it is anti-diabetic. It has anti-diabetic properties or activity. So people that have diabetes, I believe, can use it to reduce the sugar level.
Thank you, Dr. Esther, for the wonderful presentation and for taking up the questions and answering them. Thank you.